This is not how food distribution dominance ends. Most people think this is about export coordination. Canada announcing $28 billion in food export network development and international distribution system enhancement. Technical specifications for cold chain logistics and food processing coordination, the kind of agricultural commerce project that fills food industry publications and gets analyzed by distribution economists. But when Canada commits to building comprehensive food export systems that completely bypass American distribution networks and wholesale facilities, that is not routine export development. That is the systematic elimination of American control over the food distribution infrastructure that feeds international markets and determines global food pricing for billions of consumers. For 80 years, international food distribution meant American coordination with agricultural regions supporting American food industry interests. Canadian agricultural exports supplemented American food distribution networks. International food markets depended on American wholesale facilities for processing and distribution coordination. The infrastructure existed, the distribution relationships were established, the profits supported American food companies, and everyone understood that global food distribution was coordinated through American wholesale networks that determined how agricultural products reached international consumers. Trump destroyed that coordination in 206 months. Not through agricultural policy or food distribution agreements, but by treating international food networks like American agribusiness assets where global food distribution decisions were subordinate to American food industry interests. First, with food export restrictions during global supply shortages that prioritized American domestic markets over international food security commitments. Then with wholesale distribution control that demanded international food markets depend on American processing facilities rather than developing independent food distribution networks. Then with explicit threats to restrict food access unless international markets prioritized American food industry profits over their own food sovereignty. He assumed food dependence meant permanent subordination. That American distribution advantages gave Washington permanent leverage over international food decisions. That wholesale infrastructure made alternative food systems economically impossible. Instead, he gave Canada the strategic justification to do what food science had always made possible: build food distribution systems that make American wholesale control irrelevant rather than essential. Mark Carney announced the National Food Security Distribution Network in Toronto, March 4, 2026. Not in Chicago, where food distribution protocols would require American wholesale consultation. Not through North American food channels, where American distribution companies could demand coordination oversight. In Canada's commercial capital, standing next to International Trade Minister Mary Ng, speaking directly to an audience that included executives from every major food processing company and representatives from agricultural cooperatives spanning Canadian farming regions and international food partnerships. The commitment was unprecedented. 28 billion Canadian dollars over 7 years, the largest food distribution infrastructure investment in North American history, focused specifically on food processing, cold chain logistics, and international distribution networks that would operate independently of American wholesale facilities while providing comprehensive food export capability that exceeds anything traditional distribution systems dependent on American processing could handle. This is not theoretical food development. This is the construction of parallel distribution systems designed to make American wholesale control obsolete within 5 years. Food distribution represents the foundation of global food security and international commerce. Traditional food exports depend on wholesale networks that can process massive quantities of agricultural products during harvest seasons and distribute them to international markets throughout the year while maintaining food quality and safety standards. Independent food systems provide comprehensive distribution security through direct export networks that eliminate dependence on American wholesale facilities, subject to political manipulation and supply chain restrictions. Agricultural regions with advanced food infrastructure can coordinate distribution through export relationships that operate independently of American food industry control. The entity that controls comprehensive food distribution controls the ability of agricultural producers to access international markets and achieve food export independence. Every food shipment, every processing operation, every wholesale distribution facility becomes either directly controlled or dependent on American wholesale networks that can manipulate food availability for industry profits rather than global food security. For decades, the United States maintained food control through wholesale coordination and processing infrastructure that assumed international agricultural producers would remain dependent on American distribution networks regardless of food sovereignty or agricultural community independence. That control is ending through food development that excludes American wholesale participation. The Canadian Food Network brings together comprehensive agricultural capabilities that collectively exceed American food distribution capacity. Canada contributes world-class agricultural production through prairie grain systems, Atlantic seafood operations, and specialty food manufacturing. Canadian food companies provide advanced processing technology and quality control expertise. Canadian distribution infrastructure offers direct access to international markets without requiring American wholesale intermediation. The network creates complete food systems without depending on American wholesale facilities, American processing networks, or American food industry coordination. Every aspect of food distribution, from agricultural processing to international delivery, can be completed through Canadian infrastructure that operates independently of American wholesale control. The strategic implications are transformative. Food systems developed through Canadian infrastructure provide comprehensive distribution networks that eliminate American wholesale control over international food markets. Independent food distribution creates agricultural sovereignty that reduces dependence on American food companies that prioritize profit maximization over global food security. Food export becomes producer-controlled rather than dependent on American wholesale pricing that served American food industry profits rather than international food requirements. For the first time since modern food distribution developed, major agricultural regions will access international markets through distribution systems that function completely independently of American wholesale coordination. The network established 6 parallel development tracks that will fundamentally alter global food markets within 5 years. First, integrated food processing and packaging facilities connecting Canadian agricultural production directly to international food markets. Traditional food distribution required American wholesale processing and markup systems that served American food industry profits, rather than producer affordability and international food access. Canada is building direct food processing through advanced manufacturing facilities, automated packaging systems, and quality control networks that provide food production without American wholesale intermediation. Direct food processing eliminates American wholesale dependency while providing more profitable food exports through specialized processing expertise, rather than American wholesale systems that prioritized food industry profits over producer income and international food affordability. Second, comprehensive cold chain logistics networks including refrigerated transportation, controlled storage, and temperature-managed distribution designed specifically for international food exports. Food quality requires precise temperature control during transportation and storage to maintain nutritional value and safety standards across intercontinental shipping distances. The network includes dedicated cold chain infrastructure that connects processing facilities directly to international ports through refrigeration systems optimized for food preservation rather than general freight that compromised food quality for transportation convenience. Dedicated food logistics provides reliable food quality while ensuring food safety standards over other transportation priorities that degraded food products during distribution delays. Third, advanced food safety and quality assurance systems that provide international certification and regulatory compliance for global food markets. Modern food exports require comprehensive safety documentation and quality verification that meets international food standards and regulatory requirements. Canada is developing food safety systems that provide international certification through advanced testing technology and regulatory compliance that ensures food quality without depending on American food safety standards designed for American market conditions. International food certification provides market access while ensuring food quality that serves specific international requirements rather than standardized American food standards that prioritized American market conditions over international food diversity. Fourth, comprehensive agricultural value-added processing that transforms raw agricultural products into finished food items optimized for international consumption. Food export profitability requires processing capabilities that convert agricultural commodities into consumer products that command premium prices in international markets. The network includes value-added processing facilities that develop finished food products through advanced manufacturing technology and product development that creates optimal food items without depending on American food processing designed for American consumer preferences. Value-added food processing provides export optimization while ensuring food products that serve international consumer preferences rather than standardized American food products that prioritized American market tastes over international food diversity. Fifth, direct international distribution networks that connect Canadian food production to global markets without American wholesale intermediation. International food commerce depends on reliable distribution access during seasonal production cycles when global food markets require synchronized food availability. Canada is building international food distribution through shipping networks, storage facilities, and delivery systems that provide global food access through Canadian coordination rather than American wholesale control. International distribution independence provides global food security while ensuring food access that serves international markets rather than American food industry profits that restricted food availability for profit maximization. Sixth, comprehensive food market intelligence and price coordination systems that optimize Canadian food exports for international market conditions and consumer demand. Effective food distribution requires market analysis that identifies optimal export opportunities and pricing strategies that maximize producer income while maintaining international competitiveness. The network includes food market research that develops export strategies specifically designed for Canadian agricultural advantages and international market requirements, while providing market intelligence that serves Canadian producer interests rather than American food industry priorities. Market intelligence independence provides export optimization while ensuring food marketing that serves Canadian agricultural prosperity rather than American food industry profits that exploited market information for wholesale advantage. The economic implications are staggering. American wholesale companies generate approximately $60 billion annually from international food processing, distribution, and markup services. Every food system developed through Canadian infrastructure represents agricultural commerce that American wholesale networks no longer control. American food companies face reduced processing volumes as agricultural producers access international markets directly through Canadian systems. American wholesale operations lose distribution markup as producers export food without American intermediation. American food transportation experiences decreased shipping as Canadian networks provide direct delivery to international markets. The timeline is aggressive and achievable. Major food infrastructure begins construction immediately. Processing facilities become operational by 2028. Comprehensive food networks provide full distribution capability by 2030. Complete agricultural independence achieves food export sovereignty by 2031. Within 5 years, Canada will operate food systems that provide comprehensive distribution networks while eliminating American wholesale control over international food markets and agricultural export prosperity. American wholesale capabilities remain significant but increasingly irrelevant to international food markets. The United States maintains wholesale facilities and processing infrastructure, but international food distribution will increasingly operate through Canadian systems that provide superior agricultural service without American wholesale markup. American food companies assumed international food markets would remain dependent on American wholesale processing because alternative distribution systems lacked comprehensive food infrastructure. When Canadian food systems provide superior distribution service while eliminating American wholesale markup, American wholesale control becomes food cost inflation rather than distribution service. American wholesale facilities can continue serving domestic food markets, but they cannot force international food dependence when Canadian systems offer superior distribution service without markup associated with American wholesale processing that served food industry profits rather than agricultural producer prosperity. The network is attracting additional agricultural partners from countries that want food export independence without American wholesale control. Australia is exploring food partnerships that integrate with Canadian distribution systems. New Zealand is developing agricultural cooperation agreements that provide food export access without American wholesale intermediation. Argentina is considering food collaboration that eliminates American wholesale markup while maintaining agricultural research cooperation with Canadian food expertise. Each new partner brings agricultural capabilities that strengthen food independence while reducing dependence on American wholesale systems, subject to American food industry profit maximization. What began as Canadian food development is becoming multilateral agricultural cooperation that collectively provides more comprehensive food distribution than American wholesale systems can offer. For American wholesalers and food distribution companies, the implications are economically catastrophic. American wholesale built market dominance around food processing that generated revenue from international agricultural commerce while maintaining distribution control over global food markets. Canadian food systems eliminate wholesale intermediation while providing agricultural producers direct access to international markets with improved profit margins. American wholesalers lose processing revenue and distribution control as producers bypass wholesale facilities for direct export systems. American food distribution companies built business models around wholesale markup that provided steady revenue from food processing services and distribution coordination. When food systems eliminate American wholesale requirements, American distribution companies lose markets that sustained profitability and employment across food industry sectors. The transformation is already beginning. Major international agricultural producers are negotiating food export contracts with Canadian systems that provide direct market access without American wholesale processing. American wholesale facilities are reporting reduced international food volumes as producers develop Canadian distribution relationships. Food industry analysts are projecting continued American wholesale decline, while Canadian systems expand international market share. American wholesale facilities can still serve domestic food markets, but they cannot control international food decisions that favor Canadian systems offering superior distribution economics compared to American wholesale processing that prioritized food industry profits over agricultural producer prosperity. Trump wanted to demonstrate that international food distribution required American wholesale coordination regardless of agricultural sovereignty or food export affordability. Instead, he motivated Canada to develop food systems that make American wholesale control optional rather than essential. By the time American wholesale acknowledges the shift, Canadian food systems will already provide comprehensive distribution independence that eliminates American wholesale control. Food distribution will already operate beyond American wholesale oversight. Agricultural prosperity will already function independently of American wholesale systems that no longer serve international food requirements. History does not reverse because it is misunderstood. Food distribution is shifting from American wholesale control toward Canadian systems that operate independently of American food industry oversight. Agricultural commerce is restructuring around producer prosperity rather than American wholesale profit maximization that subordinated agricultural income to food industry profits. Food export is transitioning toward distribution systems that provide superior agricultural service without markup vulnerabilities that made American wholesale control strategically obsolete for international food independence. American wholesale companies assumed agricultural producers would remain food distribution dependent forever. Canada just demonstrated that assumption was economically catastrophic for American wholesale market dominance and food industry profitability.